Hi, everyone. My name is Barrett Lee. I am a chaplain with Bronson Methodist Hospital and Hospice Care of Southwest Michigan. I live here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I am a recovering evangelical. And this is my story. I use this term, recovering evangelical, very intentionally because of the resemblance it bears to the language of addiction, especially as used by folks who are part of the 12 steps to tradition of Alcoholics Anonymous and other groups. And I have come to see my relationship with evangelical Christianity as a kind of addiction from which I am recovering. I came to this particular expression of Christianity because I was searching for two things. First, I wanted the comfort of certainty in this big and confusing world that we live in. And I wanted to experience the power of mystery and the belief that anything can happen and that God makes a difference in this world today. But what these two things led to, the comfort of certainty and the power of mystery, they led to an overdose on sincerity. And while I was a part of this movement, I said and did many things that were very harmful to both myself and others. These things that I said and did were my personal actions, for which I am solely responsible, and for which today I am very deeply sorry and seeking to make amends. But there's another side to this as well. These personal actions of mine were also supported and encouraged, and I would even say exploited, by the cultural norms of evangelicalism. And those cultural norms, I would say, constitute a form of spiritual abuse. Toward the end of my time in evangelicalism, I was attending a very strict church. Some might even call it fanatical. And during my senior year of college, I had a very brief relationship with a woman who did not affiliate as a Christian. And this was seen as a great sin by the leaders of my church. And I confessed this to one of my pastors, someone who I had been intending to rent a room from during my last semester of college. And he told me on that day that I was no longer welcome to rent a room from him because through my actions, I had now invited demons into my life, and that would create an increased risk for him as a pastor and for me because I'd be living with a pastor and because I was now in a spiritually compromised position, a spiritually compromised position. And so for the good of my soul, he told me, I would spend the final semester of college homeless, which I did, sleeping on a mattress in a hallway, thanks to the generosity of some good friends. And what I realized at that time is that this way of practicing Christianity was no longer working for me. And it wasn't because I had failed, but it was because this system, this mentality, this way of following Jesus itself was twisted and was mistaken. And I realized then that I needed to find another way of following Jesus. After graduating college later that year, I enrolled in seminary. And I'm so grateful for my time in seminary, because my seminary experience deepened my education in matters theological, my understanding of the Bible and church history. And it gave me what I needed to leave evangelicalism well. And I say leave evangelicalism, not Christianity. Because I then, and continue today, to be a Christian. My goal, as I began to sense a call to ordained ministry, was to become the kind of pastor that I needed. I discovered through my education a God who bore the same name as the God I had served, but was also a bigger and a better God than the one that I had believed in up to that point. I began to understand God as this mystery, this great unknown that cannot be understood but can be experienced. And that experience changes lives. And I know that it has and continues to change mine. For the first time, I began to believe that God is love, as it says in a passage of the Bible. And love is, as we know, not a feeling, but an action. Love is not a noun, but a verb. And if love is a verb, and God is love, then God is a verb. And so for me, as I believe today, it doesn't make much sense to say that I believe that God exists. But it makes more sense to say that I believe that God happens. And the place where I see God happening more than anywhere else in the world is in the person Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus, who is the center of the Christian tradition. And it is because of that experience that I have decided to continue practicing my own spiritual path within the Christian tradition, worshiping and serving a God who is bigger and better than I could have possibly imagined. A mystery that changes me from the inside out. A mystery that I experience in the person Jesus Christ. And I find that my love for reading the Bible and prayer and going to church has only increased as a result, because I am finally able to believe that this God who is love also loves me. And this renewed, resurrected faith that I have found is the very thing that is today empowering me to become the kind of pastor that I needed during that very vulnerable time of my life. And I'm grateful for that. And I hope that I am and will continue to be faithful to that each and every day. Thank you for letting me share my story.